The airport shuttle rattled to a stop outside the modest ranch-style house in suburban Denver, the Rocky Mountains looming like silent judges in the November twilight. Brandon Hayes slung his duffel bag over his shoulder, exhaustion from the cross-country flight warring with the familiar ache of homecoming, until he saw the front door ajar, a sliver of yellow light spilling onto the porch like spilled secrets. His 6-year-old daughter, Lily, was supposed to be asleep by now, her bedtime story tucked away with the stuffed elephant he'd brought her from New York. Instead, a single piece of construction paper fluttered against the welcome mat, her crayon-scrawled words screaming in wobbly capitals. "Daddy, Mommy's crying and she said you're not coming back the same." He froze, heart slamming against his ribs, the cold Colorado air turning to ice in his lungs. Pushing the door open, the house smelled wrong. Not of Sarah's lavender candles or Lily's peanut butter sandwiches, but of stale coffee and something sharper, like regret sharpened to a blade. The living room was dim, toys scattered like battlefield casualties. And there, at the end of the hall, the master bedroom door stood locked. A barrier he hadn't seen in their 12 years of marriage, its brass knob mocking him with the finality of a gavel. Brandon's hand trembled as he knocked, the sound echoing hollow in the quiet house. "Sarah? It's me." Lily's note. What happened? No answer, just the faint rustle of movement behind the wood, like a trapped animal pacing its cage. He jiggled the knob, the lock holding firm, and for the first time in his life, the man who'd stared down corporate boardrooms in Manhattan felt utterly powerless. Dropping his bag, he slid down against the door, the cool hardwood floor seeping through his jeans, and whispered through the crack, "Please, talk to me. I just want to hold you both." Minutes stretched into an eternity, the grandfather clock in the living room ticking like a countdown to oblivion. Finally, the lock clicked, and the door creaked open just enough for Sarah's face to appear. Pale, eyes red-rimmed, her auburn hair tangled as if she'd been clawing at it. She didn't meet his gaze. Instead, she thrust a manila envelope through the gap, her voice a fractured whisper. "Read it. Then you'll understand why the door stays locked tonight." He took it, fingers brushing hers, and she recoiled as if burned. The envelope was thick, unsealed, spilling its contents onto his lap. Bank statements, emails printed in stark black ink, photos blurred but unmistakable. Him at a dimly lit bar in Chelsea, arms slung casually around a stranger's shoulder, laughter frozen in pixels that now screamed accusation. His stomach plummeted. These weren't just snapshots. They were evidence, pieced together from a private investigator she'd hired during his business trip extension. The note inside, in her neat cursive, laid it bare. "I knew about the late nights, the client dinners that stretched into dawns. But seeing you with him, Brandon, you're not the man I married. Lily deserves better than a house built on lies. I'm taking her to my sister's in Seattle tomorrow. Don't follow us." The world tilted. Brandon's vision blurred, not from tears. He hadn't cried since his father's funeral a decade ago, but from the vertigo of a life unraveling in 18-point font. He was 37, a rising star in renewable energy consulting, the guy who volunteered at Lily's school bake sales and fixed leaky faucets with the precision of a surgeon. And yes, he'd strayed, but not in the way Sarah thought. Or maybe exactly in the way she feared. The man in the photos? Justin. Not a fling, not a mistake, but the first person in years who'd made Brandon feel seen, not just tolerated. He'd met Justin 3 months earlier at a sustainability conference in New York. Brandon had been nursing a scotch at the hotel bar, dodging small talk about his perfect family back home. When Justin slid onto the stool beside him, tall, with a runner's build, dark curls framing hazel eyes that sparkled with unapologetic mischief. "You look like you're calculating the carbon footprint of your regrets," Justin had said, his Texas drawl cutting through the din like a warm breeze. They'd talked for hours. Solar grids in the Southwest, the hypocrisy of greenwashing corporations, the quiet terror of loving someone who might never love you back the same way. By midnight, it was more than talk. It was a spark, tentative and terrifying, igniting something Brandon had buried since college. But that was it. One weekend, promises to stay in touch, and then the guilt crashed in like a Denver blizzard. He'd deleted the texts, blocked the number, convinced himself it was a fever dream, until Sarah's suspicions turned it into a nightmare. Now, clutching the envelope, he pounded his fist lightly against the doorframe. Sarah, wait. It's not what you think. I love you. I love Lily. Let me explain. Her laugh was bitter, echoing down the hall. Explain? You've been explaining away for years, Bran. The distance, the touches that lingered too long on handshakes with colleagues. I hired the PI because I needed proof to protect our daughter, not to destroy us. But you did that yourself. The door swung shut again, the lock snicking like a gunshot. From inside, he heard her sob, muffled by pillows, and Lily's small voice calling, "Mommy? Is Daddy home yet?" Brandon's chest cracked open. He stumbled to Lily's room, the door mercifully unlocked, and found her curled under her quilt, thumb in mouth, eyes wide with the wisdom of a child sensing storms. "Daddy!" She launched into his arms, her warmth the only anchor in the chaos. He held her tight, breathing in the scent of strawberry shampoo, whispering nonsense about the elephant he'd bought. "Mr. Peanut's gonna guard your dreams tonight," while his mind raced. Seattle, 3,000 miles away, a locked door in his own home, and Justin, a ghost he'd tried to exorcise, now the specter haunting his marriage's grave. That night, sleep was a cruel joke. Brandon lay on the couch, the envelope's contents splayed across the coffee table like autopsy photos. By dawn, Sarah emerged, Lily in tow, suitcases by the door. She looked at him with eyes drained of the spark he'd fallen for in a rainy college quad 18 years ago. "I'll send for my things. The lawyer will call. Sign whatever keeps this civil, for her sake." Lily clung to his leg, tears streaking her cheeks, and Brandon knelt, pressing a locket into her palm, the one with their family photo inside. "Be brave, Peanut. Daddy's gonna fix this. I promise." As the cab pulled away, taillights fading into the gray morning, Brandon stood on the porch, the house suddenly vast and echoing. He was alone, truly alone, for the first time since Lily's birth. The locked door upstairs loomed in his memory, a symbol of barriers he'd built himself. In the silence, his phone buzzed, a junk email, but it made him think of the number he'd deleted. Justin's. What if? No, he couldn't. But as the first snowflakes dusted the driveway, Brandon pulled out his laptop, fingers hovering over the keys. One search, Justin Hale, Austin, Texas. The profile popped up, a LinkedIn headshot, that same crooked smile. Below it, a conference update. Back in Denver next month for wind farm talks. Who's joining? Fate or foolishness? Brandon hit connect. The request sent like a flare into the dark. Then, collapsing onto the couch, he let the tears come, hot, unbidden, washing away the facade of the straight-laced husband. This was rock bottom, but in the marrow of his bones, he felt the stirrings of something raw and real. Not just loss, but possibility. The door might be locked, but windows, he realized, were always an option. The weeks blurred into a haze of legalese and loneliness. Brandon's boss granted compassionate leave, but the office felt like a cage anyway. He drove Lily's carpool routes alone, past empty playground swings, and attended virtual custody hearings where Sarah's voice crackled through speakers, steady but strained. "Joint custody, but primary with me, for stability," her lawyer droned. Brandon nodded mutely, signing away pieces of his heart on dotted lines. Nights were worst. The house too quiet, the master bed a vast, unrumpled sea. He'd wander the halls, pausing at that locked door, tempted to pick the lock just to reclaim some normalcy. But he didn't. Instead, he journaled, pages of confessions about the boy he'd been in rural Kansas, stealing glances at the quarterback, burying his crushes under layers of denial until Sarah's easy affection in college felt like salvation. Justin's message arrived on a Tuesday, casual as a summer storm. "Denver Connect? Beers on me if you're free." Brandon stared at it for an hour, thumb tracing the screen. What harm in coffee? Harmless reconnection, two professionals swapping notes. He typed back, "Yeah, Thursday, 7, Lowdown Brewery. Send." heart racing like a kid's first kiss. Thursday came with flurries whipping off the front range. Brandon arrived early, nursing a porter at a corner table, his reflection in the window showing a man frayed at the edges. Dark circles, shirt untucked. When Justin walked in, wind-blown and grinning, the bar's warmth amplified the pull between them. "Hayes, you clean up nicer than that conference suit." They hugged, brief, bro-like. But Brandon lingered a beat too long, inhaling cedar cologne and the faint tang of adventure. Over IPAs, talk flowed easy. Justin's latest project retrofitting solar panels on Texas schools. Brandon stalled wind turbine pitch, but undercurrents simmered. "Heard about the divorce?" Justin said softly, eyes searching. "Rough. You okay?" Brandon shrugged, the weight of Lily's absence pressing down. "Surviving. Turns out I was the villain in my own story." Justin leaned in, hand brushing his across the table. A spark, deliberate this time. "Nah, sounds like you were just human. We all hide parts of ourselves." By closing time, the snow had thickened, blanketing the city in hush. They stepped out, shoulders bumping, and Justin turned, breath visible in the cold. "Walk you to your car?" It was innocent enough, but when their gloved hands intertwined at a crosswalk, the world narrowed to that point of contact, warm, illicit, alive. At Brandon's truck, Justin didn't let go. "This doesn't have to be a one-off, Bran. If you want more, I'm here." Brandon's pulse thundered. More. The word conjured forbidden dreams. Lazy Sundays tangled in sheets, road trips with no destination, a love unapologetic and fierce. But Lily's face flashed. Her note, Sarah's locked door. "I want to. God, I do. But it's complicated." Justin nodded, thumb tracing Brandon's knuckles. "Complicated's my middle name. Text me tomorrow." No pressure. Driving home, wipers slashing at the flurries, Brandon felt the thaw begin. The house greeted him with its ghosts, but for the first time, he unlocked the master door himself. Not to reclaim the past, but to air it out. He stripped the bed, boxed Sarah's clothes, and in the empty drawer, found a forgotten photo. Him and Justin at the conference, arms around each other, faces lit with unguarded joy. Tucking it into his wallet, he whispered to the empty room, "Maybe it's time to stop running." Spring crept into Denver like a hesitant lover, melting the snow and coaxing cherry blossoms from the neighborhood trees. Brandon's life, once a frozen tundra, began to green at the edges. Custody arrangements solidified. Weekends with Lily, who arrived each Friday clutching drawings of Daddy's New Adventures. Her intuition sharper than any adult's. Sarah kept her distance, communications routed through apps with polite emojis. But the locked door lingered in Brandon's mind, a metaphor for the barriers he'd erected around his truth. Justin's texts became the day's bright spot. Memes about inefficient windmills, invitations to hike the foothills. Their second meetup was a trail in Golden, under a sky so blue it hurt. Justin packed a picnic, gourmet sandwiches from a food truck, craft cider that fizzed like laughter. As they crested the ridge, overlooking the sprawl of suburbs bleeding into plains, Brandon unloaded in fragments. The envelope's sting, Lily's confusion, the suffocating weight of pretending. Justin listened, not interrupting, his presence a steady gravity. "You're brave for facing it," Justin said finally, uncorking the cider with a pocket knife. They sat on a boulder, legs touching, the sun warming their backs. "Coming out later in life? That's not easy in a world that loves its boxes." Brandon snorted, but it dissolved into a real laugh. "The first in months. Brave? I feel like a coward who tripped into honesty." Justin's hand found his, lacing fingers with a gentleness that belied his easy swagger. "Cowards don't rebuild. They hide. You're here." That touch ignited something dormant, a warmth spreading from palm to chest. They kissed there, tentative at first, lips brushing like whispers, then deeper, Justin's free hand cupping Brandon's jaw, stubble rasping softly. It wasn't fireworks. It was Huthfire, steady and sustaining, tasting of cider and possibility. When they pulled apart, foreheads resting together. Brandon murmured, "This scares me." Justin smiled, eyes crinkling. "Good. Means it's real." Back in the city, their rhythm built slowly, mindful of the fractures. Weekday evenings. Video calls where Justin demoed his guitar skills, plucking folk tunes about lost highways that mirrored Brandon's soul. Weekends. Stolen hours at indie coffee shops or art walks in Rhino. Hands brushing in crowds, stolen glances that said more than words. Justin was a force. 34, unapologetically out since 18, with a network of queer friends in Austin who'd tease him mercilessly over group chats. "You're smitten, Hale?" One texted after a photo of them at a street fair, Brandon's arm around Justin's waist. "Shut up, Marco," Justin replied, but forwarded it to Brandon with a winking emoji. For Brandon, it was revelation. He'd always compartmentalized the good husband for Sarah and Lily, the driven exec for clients, the hidden ache for late-night scrolls through anonymous forums. Justin dismantled that piece by piece. One rainy afternoon, holed up in Brandon's home office with takeout tie, Justin pulled up old photos on his phone. "This is me at my first Pride in Houston." 17, terrified, holding a sign that said, "Love wins, even for this Texas boy." Brandon traced the screen, envy and admiration twisting. "I wish I'd had that. Instead, I had football games and farm chores, pretending crushes were just bros being brothers." Justin's gaze softened. "You have it now. With me." They made love for the first time that night. Not rushed, not performative, but exploratory, bodies mapping unfamiliar territories with reverence. In the afterglow, tangled in sheets that still smelled faintly of Sarah's perfume, Brandon confessed the fear that gnawed deepest, losing Lily to his truth. What if she grows up thinking her dad's a stranger? Or worse, that love like this is wrong? Justin propped on an elbow, tracing lazy circles on Brandon's chest. "Kids are resilient. And Lily? She's got your heart. Fierce, kind. Tell her the truth in pieces. Let her see you happy. That's the real gift." They talked until dawn, plans forming like constellations. Introducing Justin as daddy's friend at first, then more when ready. Justin's job demanded travel, but he floated the idea of a Denver transfer. "Wind's picking up here anyway," he joked, but his eyes were serious. Yet shadows loomed. Sarah's texts grew edged. "Lily asked why you're sad happy lately. Be careful, Brandon." He brushed it off, but doubt crept in. At a custody swap, Lily clung tighter, whispering, "Don't let mommy lock the door again. Okay?" His resolve wavered. Was this fair to her? To Sarah, still raw from betrayal? The first real conflict hit over Memorial Day. Justin invited him to a queer film festival in Boulder. Outdoor screenings under string lights. A community Brandon craved but feared. "Come as my +1," Justin urged over phone, voice husky with excitement. Brandon hesitated, glancing at Lily's latest artwork taped to the fridge. A family of 3, stick figures holding hands. "I want to, but Sarah's got her spidey senses. And Lily's weekend. Bring her." Justin cut in gently. "Test the waters. I'm good with kids." The offer hung, generous and terrifying. Brandon agonized, pacing the kitchen until the linoleum wore thin. Finally, he agreed, but only for the afternoon matinee, framing it to Sarah as a family-friendly event with a work buddy. The festival buzzed with rainbow flags and laughter, scents of popcorn mingling with patchouli. Lily, in her dinosaur backpack, took to Justin immediately, demanding he push her on the swings while Brandon queued for treats. Watching them, Justin's easy patience, Lily's giggles echoing. Brandon's chest swelled with a love so profound it ached. But as dusk fell, Sarah arrived early for pickup, her SUV idling at the curb. She spotted them. Brandon's hand on Justin's back, the casual intimacy of shared cotton candy. Her face crumpled, then hardened. "What the hell, Brandon?" In front of her. He ushered Lily to the car, explanations tumbling out in whispers. "It's not Sarah, he's a friend. Things are evolving." She buckled Lily in, voice ice. "Evolving? You mean you're flaunting your midlife crisis? She's confused enough without this. As she drove off, taillights vanishing into twilight, Justin wrapped an arm around him. That went south fast. Brandon nodded, throat tight. Yeah, but I can't go back. That night, alone in the house, Brandon unlocked every door, literal and figurative. He called his therapist, the one Sarah had suggested post-envelope, and scheduled a session on coming out to family. He drafted an email to his parents in Kansas, words halting but honest. There's someone important, a man. I hope you'll meet him someday. Hitting send felt like jumping without a net. Summer deepened, their bond rooting like the aspens outside town. Flexible, enduring. Justin's transfer approved. He sublet a loft in Lodo, close enough for spontaneous dinners but respectful of space. They built rituals. Farmers market Sundays, where Lily would help pick tomatoes, oblivious to the undercurrents. Bonfires at Washington Park, stories swapped under stars. Justin taught Brandon to dance, slow, swaying two steps to indie folk on a portable speaker. And in those moments, arms linked, the world felt mended. But betrayal brewed, subtle as summer thunder. At a company picnic, Brandon's colleague, Mark, a smug VP with a homophobe's grin, clapped him on the back too hard. Heard you're shacking up with that consultant. Careful, Hayes. Diversity quotas don't cover HR scandals. The words slithered, laced with malice, and Brandon laughed it off. But the seed planted. Exposure, judgment, the corporate ladder slick with prejudice. Worse came from within. Sarah filed for full custody, citing unstable influences, in an affidavit that twisted their festival outing into exposing Lily to inappropriate relationships. The courtroom in Jefferson County was sterile, fluorescent lights buzzing like accusations. Sarah's lawyer painted Brandon as reckless, quoting the envelope's evidence. Brandon's attorney countered with therapy notes, stable finances, but the judge, a stern woman with a cross pendant, frowned at mentions of Justin. Parental fitness isn't about orientation, Mr. Hayes, but stability. Prove it. Nights after hearings, Justin held him through the rage, the fear. This is bullshit, he'd mutter, fists clenched. They can't punish you for being you. But doubt festered. One evening, post-argument with Sarah, her voice shrill over speakerphone. Think of Lily. Brandon pulled away. Maybe she's right. Maybe I'm selfish. Justin's eyes flashed hurt. Selfish? For loving honestly? That's the lie talking. The fight escalated. Words like shrapnel. Brandon accusing Justin of pushing too fast. Justin retorting that fear was the real lock. You unlocked the door once. Don't bolt it now. Doors slammed. Literal this time. Justin storming out into a downpour. Brandon chased him to the street. Rain soaking them both. Don't go. I need you. Justin turned, water streaming down his face. Then fight for us. All of us. Soaked and shivering, they returned, apologies melting into urgency. In the hallway, against the wall, they clung. Kisses fierce with desperation, hands mapping promises. It was catharsis, reaffirming what words couldn't. This was worth the storm. Autumn painted Denver in golds and crimsons, leaves crunching underfoot like brittle memories. The custody battle dragged into October, each hearing a fresh wound. Brandon threw himself into proof. Parenting classes, a journal of Lily's visits chronicling her joy, drawing rainbows after park days with Justin, whom she dubbed Uncle Jay. Sarah countered with therapy reports of her own, emphasizing her traditional values and the disruption of Brandon's lifestyle change. The term grated, reducing his love to a phase, but he bit his tongue, focusing on the endgame. Lily's smile. Justin became his North Star, steady amid tempests. His Denver gig solidified, consulting on a massive wind project in the plains, but he carved time for them. Surprise lunches at Brandon's office, weekend getaways to hot springs near Buena Vista. There, in steaming pools ringed by aspens, they shed layers. Physical, emotional. Tell me about the boy you were, Justin prompted one evening, steam curling like secrets. Brandon obliged, voice low. Summers baling hay, heart racing at the farmhand's laugh. College parties where he'd drink to dull the pull toward dorm mates. Sarah was safe. She saw the provider, not the pretender. Justin's fingers traced his spine underwater. You're no pretender. You're just late to your own party. They laughed, the sound echoing off rocks, then sobered as Brandon voiced the unspoken. What if we lose? What if she takes her away for good? Justin pulled him close, water lapping gently. Then we fight smarter. Peel, document everything. But win or lose, you're her dad. That doesn't lock. Back home, community wove them tighter. Justin introduced Brandon to his circle. A mix of transplants and locals. Queer families barbecuing in backyards. Kids chasing fireflies while parents swapped stories of hard-won normalcy. At one gathering in Aurora, a trans couple with toddlers grilled Brandon gently. How's the ex handling it? He shrugged, poking at potato salad. Like I'm the villain in a bad rom-com. The wife, Lena, squeezed his arm. Exes do that. Give it time. Love like yours? It heals the cracks. Lily's integration bloomed. On her 7th birthday, they hosted a small party, unicorn theme, backyard strung with lights. Sarah dropped her off, jaw tight at Justin flipping burgers, but Lily's squeal of delight at his magic trick. A coin from her ear. Softened the edges. Thanks for this? Sarah muttered as pickup loomed, eyes flicking to their joined hands. She needed normal. Brandon nodded. This is normal, Sarah. For us. But betrayal's shadow lengthened. Mark, the VP, escalated his whispers, leaking an altered email to HR, twisting Justin's project input into nepotism concerns, implying favoritism born of personal entanglements. Brandon's boss called him in, door closed, tone paternal but probing. Look, Bran, you're gold here, but optics, tread light. Humiliation burned. He clawed his way up from Kansas dust, only to face glass ceilings veiled in politeness. Confronting Mark in the parking garage, Brandon's voice shook. Back off. My life, my work. Separate. Mark smirked, leaning on his BMW. Separate? In this town. Good luck, Romeo. The nickname slithered, laced with venom, and Brandon walked away, fists balled, vowing silence. But poison spread. Colleagues averted eyes, a stalled promotion. Justin, sensing the strain, pushed for confrontation. Call him out, or report it. You deserve better. Brandon wavered. And risk everything? Lily's tuition, our stability. The fracture widened over Thanksgiving. Justin's family invited them to Austin. A sprawling ranch house, tables groaning with turkey and tamales, queer aunts trading barbs with straight uncles in easy harmony. Brandon dreamed of it. Lily on a pony, him and Justin carving the bird. But Sarah nixed it, citing holiday traditions. Instead, she proposed a joint dinner at a neutral Italian spot. For Lily, she insisted. The restaurant hummed with families, candlelight flickering on red-checkered cloths. Lily bounced between them, twirling in her velvet dress, but tension crackled like static. Sarah arrived with a date. A bland accountant named Greg, his tie too tight, smiles too wide. Thought it was time, she said, voice clipped. Brandon forced congratulations, but jealousy twisted, irrational but sharp. Justin, absent at his own family's call, texted support. Proud of you. Survived the pasta. Conversation skirted minds. Work, safe. Weather mundane. Lily's school play, joyful. Then Sarah leaned in, wine loosening her guard. Seeing you happy is hard. But Greg gets it. Stability. Her eyes flicked to an empty chair. Justin's ghost. Brandon's retort slipped out. Stability's overrated if it's a cage. Silence fell, Lily's fork pausing midair. Sarah's face paled. Is that what you think our marriage was? He backpedaled, but damage bloomed. She whisked Lily away early, text following. Don't poison her against me. Justin flew back that night, finding Brandon on the porch, scotch in hand, stars indifferent overhead. Rough? He asked, settling beside him. Brandon unloaded the dinner, the jab, Mark's sabotage. Justin listened, then pulled him into a hug, solid and sure. You're not poisoning anyone. You're freeing yourself. But as they moved inside, Brandon's phone buzzed. A voicemail from his mother, voice quavering after the email. Brandon, honey, a man? We love you. But this? Pray on it. Come home. Sort it out. The Kansas drawl, thick with concern, cracked him open. Doubt surged. Late-night talks with Justin turned raw. Am I dragging you into my mess? Justin cupped his face. Mess? This is life. Messy, beautiful. But if you're pulling back. The unspoken hung, break, or breakthrough. Brandon chose the latter, booking a solo trip to Kansas, facing roots to reclaim wings. Wish me luck, he said at the airport, kissing Justin fierce. Always, came the reply, eyes shining. Wichita greeted him with flatlands and familiarity, his parents' farmhouse unchanged. Porch swing creaking, fields golden under harvest moon. They hugged stiffly, his father's grip lingering, mother's pie cooling on the sill. Dinner was strained. Small talk about cousins, weather, until his dad cleared his throat. That email. We ain't blind, son. Always knew you were different. Football star, but soft around the edges. Brandon's breath hitched. Different how? Mom interjected, tears welling. The glances, the books you hid. We pretended too for you. Confessions cascaded. His dad's own buried affections in youth, suppressed for farm life. Mom's quiet acceptance, reading pamphlets in secret. We feared losing you, Dad admitted. But hiding loses more. They cried, arms around the table, pie forgotten. Bring him next time, Mom whispered. We'll set an extra plate. Flying back, lighter, Brandon texted Justin a photo of the swing. Unlocked. Relief flooded their reunion. Airport kiss public, unashamed. A crowd's applause fading as they tumbled into bed, bodies celebrating survival. The climax brewed. December's custody hearing loomed. Mark's whispers crescendoing into an anonymous tip to HR. Fabricated claims of inappropriate conduct at the office holiday party. Twisting a harmless dance with Justin into scandal. The email arrived Christmas Eve. Suspension pending investigation. Brandon's world tilted again. Job, the anchor for custody. Slipping away. Christmas lights twinkled mockingly from neighbors' roofs as Brandon paced his living room. The HR email glowing on his laptop like a digital scarlet letter. Lily, visiting for the holiday, built forts from couch cushions, oblivious to the storm. Justin arrived with gifts. A leather-bound journal for Brandon, a puzzle castle for Lily. But his cheer dimmed at the news. This is retaliation, he growled, scrolling the message. Mark's prints all over it. Fight it. Brandon sank onto the couch, Lily clambering into his lap. Fight how? If I go public, it blows up the custody case. Sarah's lawyer will crucify me. Lily tugged his sleeve. Daddy, why sad? Santa coming. He forced a smile, tickling her until giggles erupted. But inside, panic clawed. The job wasn't just paychecks. It was proof of provision, the shield against unstable labels. They salvaged the night. Tree trimming to Bing Crosby, Justin as elf hoisting Lily to place the star. In bed later, with Lily asleep down the hall, Justin traced the tension in Brandon's shoulders. You're not alone in this cage. Their lovemaking was tender, anchoring, slow rhythms affirming worth beyond verdicts. Whispered plans formed. Justin's contacts for legal aid. A job hunt in renewables elsewhere if needed. New Year's brought fragile hope. Sarah suggested a truce dinner, no dates, just parents. At a cozy diner off Colfax, snow dusting the windows, they talked Lily. Her fear of thunderstorms, dreams of ballet. I miss this, Sarah admitted, stirring cocoa. Us? Co-parenting without war. Brandon nodded. Me too. And Justin. He's good for her. For me. She sighed, vulnerability cracking her armor. I see that. Greg's nice, but you're still. You. Just wish it had been different. Olive branch. I'll drop the full custody push. Joint. Real joint. Relief washed him, but irony bit progress on one front, siege on another. Back at work, on administrative leave, Brandon met with HR. A stone-faced suit named Reynolds. Anonymous complaint. We'll investigate. Mark's feigned sympathy in the break room. Tough break. Haze. Reeked of sabotage. Justin urged recording. But Brandon demurred. Snakes don't confess on tape. January's winds howled, mirroring the turmoil. Lily's school play, her as a tree in a forest fable, became sanctuary. Backstage, Justin helped with costume leaves. His whisper to Brandon, "Proud of our little oak." Sarah clapped loudest from the audience. A fragile peace holding. But post-show coffee with parents. Whispers turned. A mom, eyes darting. Heard about the office drama. Careful with influences around kids. Gossip viral as flu. Brandon's suspension leaked. Colleagues texting concern laced with curiosity. His therapist warned of depression's creep. Isolation breeds monsters. Lean on your circle. So he did. Game nights with Justin's friends. Hikes where vulnerability spilled like trail dust. One evening, over whiskey at a queer bar in Capitol Hill, a grizzled veteran named Tom clapped his back. Lost my job in '98 for the same BS. Sued, won nothing but found family here. You're stronger than you know. Strength tested swiftly. Valentine's loomed. Justin planning a cabin getaway in the Rockies. Fireplace, no phones, just them. But the night before, Sarah called hysterical. Lily feverish, possible flu. Brandon rushed over, finding her curled on the couch, cheeks flushed. Sarah paced, guilt-ridden. Greg's allergic to kids' germs. You're better at this. He nursed Lily through the night, cool cloths, storybooks, while Sarah slept upstairs. Dawn brought improvement, but confession. I pushed too hard before. Seeing you with him. It hurts, but Lily lights up. Maybe I was scared of losing my version of you. Vulnerability bridged gaps. Over breakfast, pancakes heart-shaped for irony. Sarah proposed therapy, family style, for her, and us as parents. Brandon agreed, hope flickering. He texted Justin from the driveway. Truce holding, cabin still on. Reply, hell yes, hearts optional. The cabin was magic. Snow-globed isolation, crackling fire, mulled wine steaming. They hiked frozen trails, breath clouds mingling, then thawed in hot tubs, bodies entwined. Marry me, Justin murmured one night, ringless but earnest, stars wheeling overhead. Brandon's heart stuttered. Yes, God, yes. Not legal yet. Logistics loomed, but promise sealed in kisses, a future sketched in frost. Reality intruded mid-February. HR cleared him, insufficient evidence. But the pall lingered, promotion evaporated. Mark's grin in meetings screamed victory. Brandon confronted him privately. I know it was you. Why? Mark shrugged, malice bare. Companies changing. Don't want it dragged back. Betrayal's blade twisted. Colleague to adversary. Trust eviscerated. Rage-fueled action. With Justin's nudge, Brandon documented emails, witness statements from the party. He filed an internal complaint, HR's door closing behind him like Judgment Day. This is discrimination, he stated, voice steady. Reynolds blinked. Serious allegations. Full review. Fallout rippled. Sarah, looped in via co-parenting app, texted support. Proud of you standing up. Lily too. She drew a superhero dad. His parents sent a care package. Kansas jerky. A note. Fight fair, love fierce. Justin's hand in his through boardroom echoes. Whatever comes, we've got this. But climax crested in March. Winds howling off the plains like furies. The custody final hearing. Judge reviewing stacks. Sarah composed in pearls. Brandon in his best suit. Justin in the gallery. Hazel eyes anchors. Her lawyer opened mild. Cooperative parenting sought. Then Brandon's turn. Affidavit detailing growth, therapy, Justin's role as positive influence. He's family, Brandon said, voice cracking. The kind that builds, not breaks. Cross-examination struck. And this family cost Mr. Hayes his marriage? His career stability? Objections flew, but doubt seeded. Recess brought Sarah's whisper in the hall. I didn't feed them that, but is it true? Brandon met her eyes. The cost was living a lie. It's the dividend. Verdict: joint custody, 50-50. With notes on continued counseling. Elation surged. Hugs in the courthouse lobby. Lily's voice on speaker. Yay, more daddy weekends. But victory soured days later. HR's response to the complaint. No substantiation. Mr. Hayes, consider lateral move or resignation. Mark promoted instead. Toasts in the break room excluding him. Betrayal's zenith. Anonymous email to the judge. Post-verdict. Dredging the old envelope photos. Labeling Brandon unfit. Investigation traced to Mark's IP. Sloppy hubris. Police involved, corporate scandal erupted. Headlines in the Post. Exec accused of anti-gay harassment. Mark suspended. Brandon vindicated but scarred. Resignation tendered. Freelance pivot planned. Through it. Justin unwavering. Phoenix from ashes, babe. They moved in together that spring. Justin's loft. Lily's room painted blue with star decals. Family therapy sessions knit threads. Sarah dating openly, sharing laughs over Lily's antics. We're all just winging it, she quipped once. Yet emotion's depth plumbed in quiet. A night Lily asked, why two daddies now? Brandon knelt, Justin beside. Because love's big enough for extras. Her nod, sage. Like ice cream flavors. Summer solstice brought longest days, mirroring Brandon's unfolding light. Freelance bloomed, consulting gigs with queer-led startups, wind projects in the Midwest that felt like destiny. Justin's solar firm expanded, their home office a hub of blueprints and dreams. Lily thrived, ballet slippers twirling through the loft, her questions evolving. Can Uncle Jay come to career day? Sarah's blessing came easy. He's family. Go for it. But scars itched. Mark's trial loomed in July. Federal charges for doxing and harassment. Subpoenaed. Brandon testified in a stuffy courtroom. Voice steady recounting slurs. Sabotage. Mark's defense painted him cornered. Misunderstood banter. But evidence mounted. Emails, witnesses. Verdict. Guilty. Probation. Settlement to Brandon for emotional distress. Justice tasted bittersweet. No apology, just a ghost excised. Deeper conflict stirred internally. August heat wave trapped them indoors, tempers flaring over minutiae. Justin's unpacked boxes. Brandon's late-night worries about Lily's adjustment. One evening, post-argument. Brandon snapping at a misplaced mug. Justin retorting, still locking me out? Silence stretched taut. Justin packed a bag. Eyes pained. Space. Before we break what's mending. Panic clawed. Brandon chased him to the door. Words tumbling. Don't. I'm scared. Of losing you like I lost them. Justin turned, bag dropping. Scared? I'm all in. But you flinch sometimes. Like I'm the locked door. Tears welled. You are. The best kind, opening to home. They collapsed onto the couch. Confessions raw. Justin's fear of being rebound. Brandon's terror of unworthiness. I betrayed Sarah with silence, he admitted. Can't betray you with doubt. Reconciliation was slow fire. Therapy doubles. Dates rediscovered. Picnics at City Park. Paddle boats on the lake. Lily mediated unwittingly, demanding group hugs that dissolved tensions. Sarah noticed at a back-to-school barbecue. You two glow. Don't squander it. Fall's cusp brought proposal proper. Labor Day weekend. Justin drove them to Maroon Bells. Aspens ablaze. Peaks mirrored in Alpine Lake. Lily skipped stones, shrieking at ripples, while Justin knelt on one knee, ring glinting. Simple gold band, engraved unlocked. Brandon Hayes, you've keyed my heart. Marry me? Lily hooped, yes, before he could, and Brandon's yes echoed off mountains, sealing vows in wild air. Wedding planning wove community. Small ceremony at a Boulder vineyard. Rainbow Aisle Runner, Lily as flower girl tossing petals like confetti dreams. Invites went broad, parents from Kansas, Justin's raucous kin, Sarah with Greg, even a tentative note to Mark's former colleagues seeking amends. Vows exchanged under October sun. Brandon's "You turned my locked world to windows," Justin's "Together, we weather every storm." Honeymoon in Austin. Justin's roots, barbecue joints and live music, nights dancing in dive bars. But return crashed reality. Lily's school project on family trees, her drawing branching wild. Sarah/Greg, Brandon/Justin, all connected. Like roots underground, she explained. Pride swelled, but vulnerability nipped. A call from his mom, frail voice. Cancer, son. Stage 3. News hollowed them. Flight to Wichita was somber. Lily's hand in Brandon's, Justin's quiet strength. Hospice room smelled of antiseptic and wilted daisies, but Mom's smile lit it. "Brought the whole brood," she teased, clasping Justin's hand. Dad's nod gruff. "Good man you got." Days blurred, storytelling, songs, tears. Lily read picture books, her innocence bomb. On a crisp afternoon, Mom pulled Brandon aside. "No regrets here? You live true. That's heaven enough." She passed at equinox, leaves turning as she did. Funeral in the Methodist church of his youth. Ironic pews, but hymns comforted. Eulogy delivered by Brandon. Voice breaking. "She taught me love locks nothing. It opens everything." Reception at the farm. Potluck spread, toasts to resilience. Justin's arm around him. Lily dozing on a quilt. Sarah's card. "Grief shared is grief halved." Winter's grip tightened, but warmth grew. Holidays blended. Hanukkah candles with Justin's Jewish aunt. Christmas tree with Kansas ornaments. New Year's at Sarah's. Blended chaos. Laughter overriding awkward. Lily's 8th birthday. Joint party. Piñata bursting candy like joy. Yet climax echoed in echoes. Mark's appeal denied, but a letter arrived. Handwritten, contrite. "I was scared of change. You showed me mirrors I avoided. Peace. Forgiveness? Not yet, but filed away, a door ajar. Emotion crested one blizzard night. Power out. Loft candlelit. Lily asleep. They sat by the window, snow muffling the world. "What now?" Brandon whispered. Justin pulled him close. "Now, we live. Deeply." Spring 2026 unfurled gentle. Tulips nodding in the loft's window boxes like affirmations. Brandon's freelance thrived, keynoting at a Denver queer business summit. His story of sabotage to strength drawing standing ovations. "Locked doors aren't ends," he concluded. Justin in the front row, eyes proud. They're invitations to rebuild. Media nibbles followed. Podcast invites. A post profile on corporate closets cracking. Lily blossomed. 3rd grade, a whirlwind of friendships and facts. "Why do some kids have 2 moms?" she asked post-playdate. Brandon and Justin fielded it over ice cream. "Love's a spectrum, kiddo. Like colors." Her grin. "I'm rainbow." Sarah's home echoed progress, Greg proposing, her yes tentative but true. Co-parenting app buzzed with memes, not mandates. Justin's promotion to regional lead meant travel, but they adapted: video date nights, surprise airport pickups. One layover in Chicago, he texted a photo. Skyline at dusk. Caption, "Missing my anchors." Brandon replied with Lily's latest. A family portrait. All 4 adults plus Greg. Branches intertwined. Roots deep. Anniversary marked year 1. Vow renewal at the cabin. Just them. Officiant a friend with guitar. Vows evolved. "You've taught me trust's key turns both ways," Justin said. Brandon. "In you I found home. Not a house, but a horizon." Rings exchanged anew. Lovemaking under rafters a sacrament. But humanism's thread wove through trials. Summer volunteer stint. Habitat build in Aurora. Queer youth center. Hammering walls with teens sharing stories, rejection, resilience, mirrored Brandon's path. One kid, Alex, 17 and freshly out, gripped his arm. "How'd you know it gets better?" Brandon glanced at Justin hoisting beams. Because I lived the before. And him. Fall brought harvest. Lily's first recital. Tutu twirling under lights. Grandparents beaming from seats. Justin's folks too. Barbecue bonds forged. Sarah's wedding small. Garden affair. Brandon walked her down the aisle. Whisper. Deserve this happiness. Her nod. You too. Climax's echo faded into cadence. A final HR reckoning. Old firm outreach apology letter. Consultant offer reinstated. Brandon declined. Grateful. But my future's freelance. Freedom's weight light. Emotion's depth plumbed in winter's hush. Christmas Eve. Snow blanketing the city. They bundled Lily to midnight mass. Ecumenical nod to roots. Candles flickered. Hymns swelling. Her small hand in theirs. Homeward. Carols on radio. She piped. Best family ever. Tears pricked. In her, all sacrifices redeemed. Yet the locked door's legacy lingered. A reminder in the master bedroom. Knob polished, always open. One night, post-story time, Lily asked about the sad note from years back. Brandon knelt, Justin beside. That was when Daddy learned to be brave. You helped. Her hug enveloped them. Brave like superheroes. Years folded forward. Lily 10, braces glinting, soccer star with 2 cheering sections. Brandon and Justin's commitment ceremony. Legal now, post-Obergefell Echoes. Vineyard vows under rainbow arches. Lily maid of honor. You guys are my everything. Sarah's second child arrived. Boy named after her dad. Playdates bridged broods. Brandon's book deal. Memoir unlocked horizons. Tales of betrayal to belonging. Proceeds to youth centers. Launches in Austin, Denver, even Kansas. Standing rooms, questions probing. Regrets. He smiled at Justin across the crowd. None. Just gratitude. Old age crept kind. Silver threading curls, lines etching laughs. Retirement hikes. Lily's wedding. Her to a artist named Riley. Vows echoing theirs. Grandkids toddled. Papa Bran and Papa J their chorus. The end came gentle, Justin first. Heart quiet in sleep. 78. Hand in Brandon's. Grief locked nothing. It opened memories. Funeral lakeside. Maroon bells. Lily's eulogy. He unlocked us all. Brandon lingered. 92. Porch swing in Denver suburb. House passed to Lily, but visits daily. One autumn dusk. Notebook in lap. He penned final lines. From a note and a lock, a life unlocked. Love, the truest key. As sun dipped, mountains sentinel. He closed his eyes, door forever ajar.